Harry and Meghan have understood that if they didn't jump, he was going to be pushed, and they could not afford the embarrassment of him possibly being arrested. She and he are hoping that by ostensibly moving back to the United Kingdom, that is going to preserve him from arrest. He has ended up back here with the children, where it's going to be, in the event of a divorce, a far more advantageous thing in terms of custody of the children.
Lady Colin Campbell, what on earth is going on? Just weeks after you revealed to the world this close, shall we say, friendship that Prince Harry had developed with a certain young lady in Montecito, they claim to be packing their bags. Lady C, I don't believe the narrative we're being fed by the mainstream media. What is really going on, and what do you know?
Well, Dan, it's very entertaining and amusing. And I know that you have been having information that you have been sitting on, as have I been sitting on. And to just address my part of it, insofar as the intellectual discourse that Harry has been developing with somebody in California, this, of course, interferes with his ability to have penetrating person-to-person discussions on the relative merits of Wittgenstein versus Kant. So that's a plus where Meghan is concerned. But I have been fed information starting on the 12th of August, which I have kept stum about because I felt it was irresponsible of me to do anything in terms of revealing what was going on. Harry and Meghan, it's all cock and bull. They're not moving back to the United Kingdom because they want to. They're moving back to the United Kingdom because Harry is endangered as a result of the Feds. On the 11th of August, there was a meeting with the Feds where they were inquiring into and looking into the paperwork that he submitted. I mean, I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think it was in 2021, about and his visa entry, and that there is a strong belief by the Feds that Harry lied on his paperwork to be able to gain admission to the United States as, I suppose you could say, semi-permanent resident. And he, and just as well, I was informed of this, and I would imagine, and I was actually also invited to approach people in the United Kingdom for them to raise questions which would in fact assure the Feds of having further backup as to the possibility and the feasibility of, in fact, arresting Harry and depriving and his and I've been receiving lots of information about this starting on the 12th of August. And the last information I received was actually this morning about all that's been going on. Harry and Meghan have understood that if they didn't jump, he was going to be pushed, and they could not afford the embarrassment of him possibly being arrested. Well, now, if he's no longer living in America, I think they are hoping that the whole thing will go away. But as long as he was living in the United States, it wasn't going to be going away. In fact, it was intensifying. I think this is a typical Meghanian stunt on her part, because Meghan has a long track record of creating situations, and at the 99th hour, she manages to avoid the consequences by doing something unexpected. And this is unexpected, and it's certainly unexpected where the Feds are concerned, because they were dealing with the fact that Harry was living in the United States of America. So I think she and he are hoping that by ostensibly moving back to the United Kingdom, that is going to preserve him from arrest.
Do you really believe that she is coming to, Lady C? given they claim that they're keeping the house in Montecito, which I don't think they can afford. Do you really think she is going to be back here permanently?
Oh, Dan, did you just see that pig flying? uh, I think at the moment she will be back with him superficially and ostensibly for practical reasons. First of all, she is going to want to make sure that Harry's interest in the relative merits philosophically of Wittgenstein versus Kant are not going to be able to be revitalized. So I think that's something that she needs to be vigilant about. And as long as it suits her to be his wife, she needs to be vigilant about that, because, at this stage, she can interfere with philosophical discourses. If both of them end up on, shall we say, a doctoral thesis together, she might find it rather more difficult to interfere with the discourses. So I think that's one reason. I think another reason is plausibility. If Harry moves back here and she is officially remaining in the United States, it's not going to suit them in terms of his visa problems, and it's sort of undermines one of the structures for the move. I think there's that to consider, and I also think that she will, though, be. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to maintain Montecito indefinitely, but they certainly need to maintain the illusion of having Montecito as a residence at the moment. But this whole situation is very interesting, because once Meghan and those children are back in the United Kingdom, that means that the marital home is in the United Kingdom. That means that Harry is in a far stronger position in terms of any future place where, in the event of a permanent separation or divorce.
Because he needed to get the children back to the UK. See, this is what I am very much suspecting, Lady C. A whole load of things are coming together at the same time. And there are, of course, a lot of people around Prince Harry who have been deeply concerned. And for a long time, Lady C, for all of the reasons that we have discussed, Harry dismissed them. But as soon as Vanity Fair began to back up some of my reporting that actually this woman was touting around an autobiography to publishers that would only be written, Lady C, following a divorce, even Harry had to wake up. And I do believe that this is the first step towards any type of separation, because Harry was unable to even countenance it if it meant he was stuck, miserable in the United States, with absolutely no way of bringing his children back to the UK. And the way that the Californian legal system works, it would have been nigh impossible in order to do so. That changes now. The game changes. They are enrolled in school at the United Kingdom.
Yes, I mean, it's a huge game changer. And you actually begin to wonder, are Niall Gardner and the Heritage Institute and Donald Trump, are they all actually working together? Because I know that the Democrats are working to undermine and push Meghan out of the possibility of anything, because I am in contact with absolutely trackable, very reputable, very official Democrats in the United States who absolutely want to have nothing to do with Meghan. They regard her as a danger, and they regard her as somebody who should be avoided like the plague. And so all of a sudden, all of this is coming together really very neatly. One could almost say beautifully.
Well,
I don't know what you...
Well, I do. And Lady C, there are, as I say, there are a whole load of things coming together at once. Right. And what I love is the fact that this is Meghan admitting defeat. Of course, she doesn't want to be doing it. She hated it here. I mean, she might say, oh, she liked listening to Magic Radio, but I mean, that really was the extent of it. There are obviously massive financial issues going on too, Lady C. Like, we know they are in deep, deep financial doo-doo, but there is also something about the timing and why this might appear rushed. And I'm just going to take you through some of the reporting today. This is from Tom Sykes on The Royalist, who says
Can I just say it is rushed? The whole thing is rushed because Harry and Meghan had no idea what the feds were up to when the feds started to investigate all of the papers that he submitted starting on the 11th of August. And today is now the 20th of August. So we're speaking about 8 or 9 days. So obviously the whole thing is rushed because the axe is in danger of dropping. And on the 10th of August, there was no axe in evidence. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you, but
No, I think you're completely right. And it's fascinating. But Lady C, we know that finances are a big issue too. Like, we know the money is running out. We obviously don't have sight of the bank accounts, but we have a good idea that they never received all of the money from the Spotify deal, the Netflix deal. The inheritance has been burnt through. The legal costs have racked up. And what is interesting, Lady C, is it does benefit Harry and Meghan to move now in terms of tax. And again, that might be something that people dismiss, but there's actually a lot of money at stake here. So I just want to take you through the expert view because it's quite complicated, Lady C. You know I'm not a money man, but this is interesting. It's Nimish Shah. He is the chief executive of the London tax advisory firm Blick Rothenberg. And he said, it's good to see Harry and Meghan achieve 6 full tax years of non-UK residency to manage the temporary non-resident rules for capital gains tax. They have clearly had some good tax advice, and the timing of the move back to the UK is immaculate. Now, that is because HMRC, that's like the tax man here in the UK, has a rule designed to stop wealthy Brits scooting abroad, cashing in their assets and strolling back home. It's called the temporary non-residence rule, and it means that if you leave the UK and come back within 5 years, you never really left for tax purposes as far as capital gains are confirmed. But if you stay out for more than 5 years, which in practice means 6 complete calendar years, you're golden. Now look at the Sussex calendar. They left in March 2020, just before the tax year ended on the 5th of April. They have now been non-resident for, surprise, the requisite 6 full tax years from 2020-21 to 25-26 and returning in August 26, a few months into the 7th. If income was cleverly structured as shares, that money is now safely beyond HMRC's 24% rate of capital gains tax reach. So, Lady C, it does make some financial sense.
Well, in fact, I don't know if you met my financial genius at the ball, I'm not going to mention his name publicly in case it's embarrassing, but he texted me about all of this last night for me to include it in today's show. So it's amazing that someone else is coming up with it as well, because this friend of mine, who I think you met him,
Yes, I have.
And
good man.
He's a genius, and he made the point. They are free and clear they are not liable to tax on any of their American earnings for the previous 6 years, which, I mean, that's, say what you will, that's clever thinking, that's clever moving, and I mean, you can't really knock them for being so clever. I think in a funny sort of way, you have to admire them for being so clever. But it's interesting that all of this dovetails with the feds coming after Harry for having possibly falsified his application forms, because I don't think that they would have moved quite so quickly and quite so decisively had they not discovered that the feds that he stands a chance of being arrested by the feds and it's very serious. I have to look at my notes to refresh my memory, but it's like several years in prison. If he is found to have lied, it's a federal offense, and I think it's 5 years in prison, mandatory. So, and it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter what your visa is. It is mandatory. Now, I would imagine that Donald Trump is going to take the view, oh, well, if they're out of the country, let's, but Donald Trump may equally take the view, well, I'm not going to get involved. I'm going to leave it up to the process and let's see what happens. But where that might actually work in favor of Harry is that the anti-Trumpites are very much more in favor of Harry and Meghan's political ideals, and they also like the king's wokeness. So, in fact, all of this might play so well that Harry gets away with everything. And he has ended up back here with the children, where it's going to be, in the event of a divorce, a far more advantageous thing in terms of custody of the children.
Absolutely, Lady C. Now, look, I want to show you some of the American coverage. It's quite something. Look at this from the New York Post. Their front page. Our long national nightmare is over. Harry and Meghan returning to the UK after failing to take the colonies. But what's interesting is Harry and Meghan's team have briefed Sarah Nathan, the editor-at-large. She's British, by the way. She works for Page Six, claiming to reveal the real reason that they are coming back. Now, Lady C, it's all spin, but it is worth just looking at what Harry and Meghan's team are saying, because the claim is that it is because they want to be closer to King Charles and ensure their children build relationships with family. All of this, of course, Lady C, piling pressure on Prince William, because she then goes on to write, the frost between Prince William and Harry endures as the heir to the throne refuses to talk to his younger brother, we're told. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex made their plans to leave California earlier this month, weeks after their July reunion with Charles. It's not just the king whom the Sussexes desire to be closer to. They want their children, Archie and Lily, to forge relationships with cousins and other family members, we're told. A source in the know, so this is direct, just trust me, this is direct from Team Sussex. They have so many friends and family in the UK whom they remain so close to. So Lady C, this is all about trying to almost publicly shame Prince William now. Can the heir to the throne stay strong? Can he maintain the position that this couple deserve to stay in exile and we're just not going to say anything about them, we're not going to talk about them, we're not going to engage with them when they're no longer in exile?
Well, Dan, I think let's remember Harry and Meghan are very adept at propaganda and putting forth their latest version of whatever it is. I think we need to remember that it's not only William and Catherine who want to have little or nothing to do with Harry and Meghan, especially Meghan. It's also the Queen, the King himself has wanted to have very limited contact with them, and more so with his son than with his daughter-in-law. But he's not exactly been embracing either Harry or Meghan. Think of the uncles and aunts. Exactly what family are the Sussexes speaking about? Lord Spencer doesn't have a family. My children run across his children socially all the time. They don't speak to their father. I mean, give me a break. What family? And also, his children, most of them, are not of an age for Harry and Meghan to be associated with playing happy families on behalf of Harry's two children. So where's the family? What family are we speaking about? I mean,
we know, aren't we? It's William, Catherine, and it's the children, and that's because Lady C, I don't really see Zara and Mike coming around. I mean, they might, but my understanding, speaking to people very close to them for a long time, is they are just done with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle too. As you say, they're not referring to Earl Spencer. So it's just trying to pile pressure on William and Catherine. And I do think this whole situation, Lady C, is deeply, deeply unfair on them. And I do think the king has to take a lot of responsibility for it.
Well, Dan, I don't actually agree with you. I think the king is in a very difficult position. And I think the king is very aware of the fact that Harry and Meghan are dangerous and need to be played carefully. And I think he's been playing them carefully. Let's remember the meeting at Highgrove took place after there was the revelation that Harry had been enjoying philosophical discussions of some depth and penetration with somebody else who was interested in Kant and Wittgenstein. And I mean, the family has been waiting for some time now for some chink in the armor where they could actually gain a foothold, and Meghan's malign influence would thereafter be, if not eradicated, at least minimized. And I don't think just because they are moving back here of necessity for Harry to avoid being arrested, that the family is going to be embracing them. I mean, I think it will be very interesting to see what happens.
Well, Harry is already raising the possibility, Lady C, of beginning talks with King Charles about some type of royal return, some type of royal role. So, look, I hope King Charles holds firm. I do think people, by the way, do have to remember what we're dealing with, because I'm a bit sick of reading those types of pieces in Page Six, Lady C, and Harry acting as if he cares at all about his family. Nancy Sidley of Twin Talks actually pulled out this video. And look, I'll never forget it. But I think, Lady C, sometimes it is just good to remind people just how nasty and evil this guy was, even after Charles and Catherine's cancer diagnosis. So Nancy wrote, if Harry and Meghan play the cancer card, just remind Harry what his reaction was when he learned that his dad and the Princess of Wales had been diagnosed with cancer. Watch this.
In California, how have you processed the fact that there's so much happening back with your family where you come from?
I have my own family, right? So as we all do, right? So, my family and my life in California is
I have my own family. He wasn't talking about Charles and Catherine after their cancer diagnosis. He was saying he didn't even view them as part of his family anymore, Lady C.
And didn't care. It was a matter of total indifference to him what happened to them. They weren't his family anymore. He had his own 2 children and his wife. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally cold and heartless. And don't think for a second, Dan, that the King, the Queen, William or Catherine or Anne or Edward or Sophie or any of the others will have forgiven or forgotten about any of this, because I know that a lot of people would like to believe that the family is a lot softer than it is. It's not. It's just that they have had to deal with a very tumultuous and difficult situation. And they have rarely been doing it in terms of the 12-step program. And anybody who knows about the 12-step program will know that the way they've been dealing with it is let go and let God and basically give the buggers enough rope to hang themselves with, and they will. And haven't they just hung themselves with enough rope? Because here they are coming back, tail between the legs, no security. All the demands are no longer met. Where's the apology? I mean, Harry and Meghan said they would never return to the United Kingdom without an apology from the King and the Queen and from William and
But you know what I say, Lady C? Where is their apology to us? I want them on their knees, grovelling. I'm sorry, great British public, for suggesting that you were racist for voting Brexit. I'm sorry, great British public, for suggesting that your British royal family was racist. I'm sorry for driving the late Queen Elizabeth II and the late Prince Philip to an early grave because of the stress and the pressure. I'm sorry for making the King's cancer diagnosis and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, cancer diagnosis so much worse than it could have been. I have a feeling we'll be waiting a while for that. Lady C, I do want to move over to Substack now, though, because Tom Sykes has just revealed a chapter of his new book, which suggests that Harry was actually secretly planning this move for months.
This video is for news reporting, commentary, and educational purposes. The views expressed are based on publicly available information and personal analysis. We strive for accuracy but encourage viewers to verify information through official sources.